All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 10th installment of our Acadiana Business Resource webinar series. My name is Andre Bro, and I work on the team at One Acadiana. Our Acadiana Business Resource partners are brought to you by organizations from across the Acadiana region, including One Acadiana, LEDA, Opportunity Machine, the Downtown Development Authority, the Louisiana Small Business Development Center at UL Lafayette, Acadiana Workforce Solutions, the United Way of Acadiana, and other local chamber and economic development offices from around the Acadiana region. We have come together to support Acadiana's business community, particularly our small businesses, in response to COVID-19 by hosting a series of webinars on timely and relevant topics. Today's webinar, the 10th in the series, will be a conversation with higher ed leaders on new skills and new opportunities, particularly for those workers who have been displaced by COVID-19, but for others as well. After the presentation, we will have time for Q&A. As you have questions for our panelists, please submit them through the Q&A feature. We will be monitoring the questions as we go, and if we do not have time to get to your question, we will provide follow-up contact information for you to follow up with us afterwards. Today's webinar will start with brief presentations by our higher ed leaders, followed by a panel discussion. Dr. Anna Oslin, who is Director of Workforce and Policy Initiatives at One Acadiana, will moderate our panel. And our distinguished panel includes leaders from our three public higher education institutions in the Acadiana region. We'll start with Dr. Nancy Sorensen, who is Chancellor at LSUE, and then we'll hear from Jermaine Ford, who is Vice President for Workforce and Economic Development at SLCC. And then we'll hear from Dr. Claire Araby, the Director of the Office of Distance Learning at UL Lafayette. Following the panel discussion, I will moderate a Q&A session to take some of your questions from the audience. As a reminder, please feel free to submit those questions using the Q&A feature. Before we get started, I do want to share a few words about the AcadianaOpportunity.com website that One Acadiana, LEDA, Acadiana Workforce Solutions, and other partners relaunched last week. The website serves as a virtual portal to help connect individuals seeking training or employment with resources. It was originally developed to support workers displaced from the oil and gas industry after the oil and gas downturn in 2015, and we have repurposed it to support recovery from the COVID-19 public health emergency. The Acadiana Opportunity Portal includes an intake form for workers who have lost their job due to COVID-19 to connect with a representative of Acadiana Workforce Solutions, who will determine their eligibility for grant funding that could help support the cost of enrolling in training or certification classes. Youth aged 16 to 24 can also apply for other grant funding intended to support paid work experience. Additionally, the portal includes information on job assistance resources available through Acadiana Workforce Solutions, LEDA, and Louisiana Job Connection, and it also lists relevant course offerings at our three major public higher ed institutions in the region, SLCC, LSUE, and UL Lafayette. And we will talk about those course offerings more today. And I'll go ahead and I'll put the link to AcadianaOpportunity.com in the chat box. At this point, without further ado, we will now transition to our presentations and panel discussion, and I will turn it over to our moderator, Dr. Anna Oslin of One Acadiana. Anna, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Our three panelists are now going to have the opportunity to introduce themselves, their institution, and some of the relevant program offerings that are available. Each of them has a few slides that they will present. We are going to go in alphabetical order by institution and start with Dr. Sorensen. Go ahead.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's a real privilege to be part of One Acadiana and the launch of this wonderful new portal for the citizens of our area as we try to move forward in determining what our workforce and economic development opportunities will be for us as a post-note of COVID-19. I feel very good about our area, and I know that we will emerge even stronger. You can kind of see that as we've taken on our own theme of fiercely moving forward, and I'm sure that that is also in the hearts and minds of everybody in the area. You can go to the next slide. Next slide, Andre, please. Thank you. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about LSUE. We have been here since 1967, if you could go back to the first slide. And we have a variety of program offerings, thank you, that are available, but I just want to hit kind of the highlights of who we are and what we are. We are the 2-year arm of the LSU system. And we have many opportunities for people that want certificates, as well as those that want associate degrees in technical and STEM areas, and also for transfer into LSU and many of our 4-year partners, including ULL that's with us here today. These are some of the highlights of what we know to be the quality features of our institution. We have a great student to faculty ratio. It's 21-to-1. We have nationally acclaimed and published faculty. We have a research program. But just as importantly, for those folks that may be coming to higher education for the first time or might have some experience but need to come back and retrain or upskill, we have the student support services and the faculty that really will make you feel very important, and we're very committed to student success. For learning options, we have online classes, we have an LSUE Academy 2+2 programs, we have over 25 different degrees and certificates, which are on the Acadiana Opportunity website. For campus life, many of you may know that we're nationally ranked NJCAA sports, we have nationally ranked academic clubs, and we're a very safe campus. We have staff police, we have security, and like all of us, we are preparing for a COVID reality when we return. So we can go to the next slide. Thank you. Let's focus in on our workforce and technical programs. We have certificates from fire services technology to human resources management. We have a widely acclaimed and recognized allied health department, fire and emergency services degrees, and computer information technology. And these are some of the short-term, ranging from certificates to associate degrees that folks can jump right into. Next slide. Thank you. For transfer options, we have 2+2s with all of our area 4-year schools, UL Lafayette, McNeese State, Northwestern State, LSU Alexandria, and of course a transfer pathway program directly into Baton Rouge. We have transfer programs in about 100 different areas, and we're also rapidly expanding our presence on LSU Online. That includes a full range of degree programs, but as well as micro-credentials that are industry-oriented. Next slide. So let's talk about cost. LSUE is about half the cost of most institutions, and I believe that's very important as it realizes a savings both to the student and their families. Over 70% of our students receive some type of federal financial aid. We have been fortunate enough to have been included in the CARES Act. We were allocated more than $2 million for direct assistance to students. We hope to be in further allocations that come forward. We have a full range of veterans benefits that are available to vets and their dependents and dependents of active military. And we have payment options. And I want to emphasize that because we have regular payment plans, but we also understand the strain that our citizens are under. And we're willing to work out very flexible payment plans for people. I know that folks are probably worried about what to do next, but I would really urge people to consider all of the options that you'll hear today, as well as the financial resources that One Acadiana has been talking about that you'll be eligible to apply for. It's really important to stay connected to the workforce and to move ahead. Thanks.
All right, we will move on to SLCC and Jermaine Ford. So thank you, Dr. Sorensen. That was a great overview. Go ahead, Jermaine. Andre will move the slides to you.
First of all, good morning to everyone. I'm so grateful to be here on behalf of our Chancellor, Dr. Natalie Harder, as well as our partners, One Acadiana, LSUE, and ULLL. We're very excited about being able to serve and partner with our partners in the community. And basically, and Andre, you can go to the next slide, your future is calling. We know that here in the Acadiana region, we've gone through tough times before. Now, never a global pandemic. This is the first global pandemic. But one of the things that makes us a unique people is Louisiana pride. We have come back from storms. We've come back from economic depression. We've come back from the downturn, and we're going to come back from this. So here at SLCC, which your future is calling, when people think about higher education, you traditionally think about a degree pathway, such as an associate's degree at South Louisiana Community College. But we also have technical diplomas. We also have not only the technical diplomas in various areas. So we have our business, information and technology studies. We have our liberal arts and humanities. We have our STEM area, our allied health and nursing. And I'm going to tell you, right now we're seeing such a demand clearly across the nation, but specifically within our region for allied health workers, registered nurses, LPN, CNA, phlebotomists, all range of services. So we're really putting a premium in that space. And then we also have our adult basic education, those that don't have a traditional high school diploma that are looking to come back to get their HiSET degree diploma. You can come to South Louisiana Community College, and then we'll crosswalk you from HiSET to an academic program, transfer credit, or, and you go to the next slide, Andre. Our workforce development area. Our chancellor many, many years ago made the decision to put a premium on, oh, I'm sorry, if you can go back to the previous slide, Andre. Go, yeah, there you go. If you keep it there for a moment. Our chancellor made a premium effort to really put an investment in workforce development. In the 8 parishes that we serve, we really did need to really rebrand ourselves to be able to support business and industry. And we really do have our finger on the pulse. Like, I'll give you a couple of examples. Just as recently, we actually did our first virtual job fair. And I'll give some stats on that in a little bit. But within our workforce and economic development area, we have everything from registered apprenticeship programs that we can customize to specificity of that business that's requesting, business courses, healthcare courses, industrial trade courses, leisure learning. Right now, and through some of our e-learning partners, there's a lot of free courses that we have right now through our partnership with Ed2Go. Various courses that you can register and log in for free. And then we have our online healthcare courses. One of the courses that we have that's very, very unique is in a partnership with Career Steps, allowing us to be able to do pharmacy technician in partnership with Walgreens and CVS with an internship. We're very, very excited about that. We also have our transportation. We know that transportation is one of the key industries here within Louisiana, and we're very, very grateful to be able to support to get people back to work. But not only that, we also have our workforce development programs, and that of Acadiana Workforce Solutions. Very, very, very unique in that we're the only college in the state of Louisiana that actually manages what's called the one-stop offices, which provides adult, dislocated, and youth services within the region. And that also is held here at South Louisiana Community College. There's so much more I want to share with you. Andre, if you go to the next slide, but we just wanted you to know that your future's calling. And we'd like for you to partner with us, and we partner with you to be able to get you jump-started all over again. Thank you.
I can get myself unmuted there. We'll now move to Dr. Claire Araby from UL Lafayette, and she's going to give us a little bit more information about what her office does and some different opportunities at UL. Go ahead, Claire.
Good morning, everyone. At UL Lafayette, we have a variety of opportunities for you. Andre, if you want to go ahead and go to the next slide. This spring, we took classes for all 17,000 plus students and had to move them online because we were focused on making sure that everybody could keep teaching and keep learning. Andre, next slide. At our university, we have over 15 programs. I've specifically highlighted the ones here that are undergraduate and graduate degrees that are offered online for students to be able to come back and work on their degree. These are geared toward working adults. So we have 5 programs at the undergraduate level and 8 programs at the graduate level. Some of our students have, they're usually working adults with some college and no degree that come back in our graduate programs. And for the graduate degree, sometimes students, adults with a bachelor's degree come back in one of our high demand programs like our MBA or family nurse practitioner or in engineering systems technology. So we have staff ready to help adults navigate these programs all the way from when they inquire all the way through graduation. Our online student support team is there to answer any of your questions and help you navigate getting re-enrolled in campus. We also work closely with the UL system. Andre, you have the next slide. On the Compete Louisiana program, which you may have recently heard that they've rolled out a new flat rate tuition that if you're a Louisiana citizen with some college and no bachelor's degree yet, and you've been out of school for at least 2 years, you may qualify for this program as low as $270 a credit hour. This is a program that's a partnership between the 9 institutions in the UL system. There are a variety of degrees that are offered online through this program. And this program also has coaches to help you from when you inquire all the way through graduation. So these are some of the opportunities for you to re-enroll in school, either to upskill or look for skills in a new area to further your career. Thank you.
Thanks, Claire. That's great. We have about 80,000 students in the Acadiana region with some college and no degree. So that's a great opportunity for many of them. We're now going to move into a little conversation among our leaders here, and they're going to be talking about some of the responses of their institutions to the COVID-19 pandemic, plans for this summer and next fall, and then opportunities for dislocated workers to either upskill or gain new skills as they look for a different or better job. So first, we're going to start it out talking a little bit about how your institution has responded to COVID-19. I know a lot of students are starting to think about, like, do I return? How does that go? How does that work with reopening? So if each of you could talk briefly about what your institution is doing. Maybe Jermaine, could we start with you?
Sure, thank you so much. Well, when COVID-19 happened, we really took a very progressive approach and very proactive approach. So within 2 weeks, we actually were able to convert all of our traditional programs, about 90% of our traditional programs, to an online modality, both in the traditional academic as well as in the workforce short-term credential sense. We're very, very proud of that, to be able to continue to support our students to be able to get gainfully employed or get credentials to be able to transfer or get their associate's degree. The other thing that we did to help the dislocated worker is we provided our first virtual job fair. In fact, this week we have our second one this week, but I'd like to just talk to you about some of the stats. So we had over 500 people that actually registered. The day of, we had 242 people attend, with about 30 plus employers, the largest employers in the region. And the beautiful part about it is we had so much demand from employers seeking to use the virtual tool. We're working to get a third virtual job fair very, very soon. In addition to that, we're actually working also closely with our healthcare partners to look at what additional short-term programs can we look at to be able to close that gap as quickly as possible to get people gainfully employed. But beyond that, use as a trajectory to be able to build a pathway from either short-term credential to college credit to transfer, or short-term credential to college credit to being gainfully employed. So we're very, very excited that we're meeting the needs of those that are dislocated, as well as meeting the needs of business and industry.
Thanks. That was interesting. Claire, so your office was sort of the front line of getting all of the classes and making sure our students had connectivity and were able to, work with a new online environment if they hadn't done that before, and the same for our professors, making sure that things worked out. Talk to us a little bit about some of the challenges and real successes that you saw with that.
Yes, it was, it all happened so sudden. So trying to work with faculty who have never taught remote or online, we quickly ran hundreds of faculty through some quick trainings on the modality and teaching the modality. We have an online orientation for all of our students learning online that really helps them get up to speed and learn how to navigate the learning management system, as well as where to go for different things on campus. So this summer, we're trying right now to help faculty who, had to suddenly put their course online, spend some time, possibly like retooling the course or such in preparation for most of it being remote again this summer.
Dr. Sorensen, as the Chancellor of LSUE, you've really been on top of all of the changes and the preparedness as you consider, when it's appropriate for students to go back to school, when it was appropriate to send them home. Can you talk to us a little bit about some of the challenges that you saw from that really 10,000 foot level as you look down at your entire campus and the responsibility for all of those students, faculty, and staff, and then think through as you think about the fall and how you're responding to that, what changes you've implemented or things that you're seeing are critical to your success for the fall.
Well, thank you, Anna, and I want to applaud the efforts of all of the colleagues here today, as I know that colleges and universities all across the country had about 2 weeks, as Jermaine said, to convert all of our instruction that wasn't already online into some form of distance learning available for our students. So it was a heroic effort by faculty all across the country, as well as the students who persevered and hung in there, determined to finish. We just had a great story. We had a 64-year-old gentleman that just graduated virtually. And so like a lot of schools, we've had to take a look at the academic calendar and see how we were going to move forward. So we converted to online in 2 weeks. Then the institution went into a model, which most of us are still in right now, of working remotely. Just Anna, as we see you from your home. And this week we began a return to campus of about 50% of our workforce. Our summer session will be online. We had hoped to have some of our courses still in person, but we converted everything to online, building on the success that we had from the spring. In fall, we plan to open, as our academic calendar says, on August 23rd. And we are looking broadly at how to convert some of our teaching modalities into hybrid courses. So we do not want to reduce the number of students on campus, but we're going to have to perhaps have them in 2 separate rooms and have our faculty, be able to teach that way. So we're also taking advantage of the CARES Act funds that we had to try to bring in the technology to ensure that we can open as planned in the fall. From a perspective of being able to work with the public again, I'm hoping to have the campus open to the public by July 1st, because we're moving our employees back in stages. We'll be in the final stages in the last couple of weeks of June. So we want to be open to the public again on July 1st. We have developed many online tools. We've enhanced our online advising capability. We have developed an online orientation, an online campus tour. Our staff are responding from home on an hourly basis with all of our major operational areas, advising, student financial aid, faculty are corresponding with their students. So from that 30,000 foot perspective, that's the way we're opening. We are going to be COVID ready, have everything in place in order to maintain a safe and secure environment. And we believe that our entire system will be part of a research study that will be a model for the state of Louisiana. We'll be doing COVID testing and research, but we'll also have the correct COVID procedures in place for our students, especially in students that are in the frontline service areas, such as fire and protection services and our allied health program. We're determining those procedures now. So we have one of the largest nursing programs in the state. We are not going to reduce the number of students that we're admitting in any of our programs, in respiratory therapy, radiology, sonography, DMS. So we're confident that we can open with the right type of safety and security procedures in place. We're also looking at, as Jermaine said, working with our allied health partners and determining what are the shorter term stackable certificates, stackable credentials that we need to have in place in order to get our employers up and running and provide them the workforce that they need.
Well, that's a great transition to our next question. As we think about our dislocated workers, we've all seen how high the unemployment claims are right now. And, you know, this is a great opportunity for folks that are unemployed to think about reskilling and upskilling. Can you each talk a little bit about, you know, some of the shorter term and longer term options that you have? I know that you mentioned that, Dr. Sorensen, but Jermaine, why don't we move to you? Can you talk a little bit about some of the short-term and longer-term options that dislocated workers, you know, might consider, and you know why now would be a good time to do that?
Absolutely. It's imperative. Well, I want to also give acknowledgement to One Acadiana for the unique partnership that we have, because we have our hands on the pulse of economic data, and to really see where business and industry is moving toward. One of the things that we're seeing some employers that were pillars that aren't here anymore, and then those that are going through some transition. So we're really trying to identify what the real needs are. The sad truth is, pre-COVID-19, there was a need in some areas. Post-COVID-19, we just don't know all the areas, but we do know in healthcare, there's going to be a tremendous demand in healthcare. Our phones have been ringing off the hook for those that are seeking to go into our short-term transportation of CDL, short-term transportation of that of maritime, which is also going through its own unique transition. So I will say, based upon this early onset of data, we are seeing the highest demand in healthcare. And right after that, the next demand that we're really seeing is that of industrial construction trades. And so we're really looking to see in the next 6 months what this is going to look like, even though industry experts actually say the next 18 months are really going to be the real forecast. But we're really trying to keep our finger to the pulse as to the short term and the long term. The beautiful part about our methodology here at SLCC is we have on the healthcare side and the non-credit to credit about a 26 to 30% conversion rate. Those that came in as CNAs, coming back as LPNs, going back into EMT, coming back into our RN program, coming back into general studies, transferring on to ULL. So we've had some tremendous success, but then there have been those other areas where people may have started off in a career with a short-term program and came back and got a degree in something completely different. They pivoted. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that in the near future.
Dr. Sorensen, can you expand a little bit on how working with your healthcare partners has been helpful in developing both those shorter term and then the longer term pipeline programs that you know, you're helping build at SLCC? I'm thinking especially about your healthcare programs, but if there's other ones you want to talk about, that's fine too.
Yeah, thank you, Anna. And I could not agree more with Jermaine that our economy is in a state of pivoting and refocusing into other areas. And this is a wonderful time for people to consider what they've been doing, or perhaps looking at new directions. In terms of our healthcare programs, we have been focusing on medical billing and coding, which is a shorter term program. It's completely online that our students can get involved in. We have been talking with partners about expanding into the CNA field and other things such as phlebotomy and those types of things. So we're really, we are partnered heavily with Opelousas General Hospital, with Lafayette General Hospital. We know that they have burgeoning needs for medical lab technology, which is not necessarily a short-term program, but it is a growing need, you know, for those areas. In terms of other shorter term certificates, we have short-term certificates in our business area, in accounting. We have shorter term certificates in fire and protective services as well, which I think in terms of there's a vast number of small businesses in our area. So we really want to help get those small businesses back on their feet and functioning again with the kind of skilled workers that they really need.
Yeah, that's great. Claire, talk a little bit about the modular nature of some of the online programs and how if you're working full time, you can kind of make that work for you while you're thinking you want a 4-year degree, but you don't really have time to go full time. How can an online program make that more successful, especially if, you know, right now you have that extra time to zip through a whole bunch of things, whereas you might not have that when you're back at work full time?
So yeah, our online programs are set up, you know, in an asynchronous fashion so that students can work at their own pace. You know, we have students who have all different kind of hours. Is, you know, you think about healthcare, some are working during the day, some are working at night, some are working on weekends. And we need to be able to accommodate all of those students and work schedules. We've had students complete their degree around the world. You know, we've had students who travel from here to, sometimes they're in Australia for work and they need to be able to continue working on their degree. So we've set up our degrees to support those students. We've made a lot of our classes are, you know, short-term 8-week courses so that students can focus on 1 or 2 classes at a time and really keep their attention there. So we've really tried to keep the student in mind and how we developed our online programs.
That's great. How are you guys meeting the needs of diverse learners and learners from different backgrounds, even thinking about first-time college students or adults who've been in the workforce for, you know, 10, 15 years, 20 years, and they, you know, are looking at the new realities of the job market and thinking that maybe their skills aren't quite what they need to be? Can you talk a little bit about, you know, the strategies that your schools or individual programs are putting in place to address, you know, needs of this diverse student population? Dr. Sorensen, I'm going to start with you on this one.
Thank you. Well, our ability to meet the needs of a set of diverse learners is of our utmost importance to us, to LSUE. We have a Student Success Center that provides tutoring, provides academic coaching, and those services are available both in person and online. We also have a really great set of developmental courses in reading, writing, and math. We have a developmental math program that is modular based. Students can work at their own pace, and they can sometimes accelerate their learning. So we've had students that have completed, been able to complete 2 or 3 classes in 1 semester, because many adult students are in that group where they might have forgotten perhaps fractions, decimals, and percents. That's sometimes why they don't score as well on a placement test, but with just a little reminder, they can really move themselves through the curriculum very, very quickly. In addition to that, we have developmental course areas and work where we will be offering supplemental instruction for our courses. That's when students get a chance to be in the classroom, and then they get a chance for a very high level kind of coaching session in addition to the class with a teaching assistant that's been in the classroom with the professor. So we're going to be able to divide up our online courses that might have somewhat larger enrollment than a regular classroom in order to see that our students get the individualized attention that we need. We're also partnering with a local provider of HiSET, the HiSET program that is being run in conjunction with a church-based organization here. We offer the HiSET testing as well on campus. So we want to be able to meet the needs of our citizens as they come to us.
That's great. And I know SLCC is doing a lot of similar work. Jermaine, perhaps you can talk a little bit about the 2015 oil and gas response. I know that SLCC really helped a lot of people at that time, pivot their career to something different. But many of the, workers that were dislocated at that time, hadn't been in school for quite a while or had never been in school. Talk a little bit about some of the strategies that SLCC put in place that you're continuing to build on with this new downturn.
Sure, thank you, Anna. One of the things that's important, obviously, is student engagement. We've got to be engaged with our students from the moment of go, and not only student engagement, but student success. We've got to pipeline in what is success to that student, and lastly, student completion. So to tie all three of those in like a bow, we have to really know what the pulse is with business and industry. Where are they now? Where are they going 3 years from now? Where are they going 5 to 10 years from now? What does the future look like 20 years from now? And then be able to translate that audience back to our Acadiana residents to say, okay, this particular industry has a need in X for 100, 200, 1,000. As an example of that, back in 2015, we actually partnered, and now I'll say this, there was no data to be demonstrated that this was a need. But what happened, there was an insulated approach to hiring, and they weren't really posting, but in the areas of industrial trade and scaffolding, we actually partnered in with one of our sister colleges within the Louisiana Community and Technical College system, which is River Parish Community College, who actually began the program. And when they began the program of scaffolding, they were looking for a school to partner in with within our system. We stepped up to the plate. We said, we're in a prime location, we'll do it. And I'm so proud to say from 2015 to now, we've graduated almost 300 plus students in that one program with a high job placement rate. In fact, some of the students who graduated from that program have actually come back to talk to current students to say, we're excited to let you know we came as a front line, and now we're in a supervisor role. So, I mean, there's no more gratification to really see men and women who have gotten dignity back, and that's the most important thing. And I'll close with this part. I heard, this is not my quote, but I heard someone say this and I just adopted it. It's imperative that a college be connected to the community and a community be connected to the college. And we have some great regions that we serve in all 8 of the parishes, all the way from Morgan City on around. And so we're excited about what the future holds.
That's a great quote. So thanks, Jermaine. Claire, as you're looking at from the Office of Distance Learning, thinking through the different types of learners that are returning and wanting to be online. Have you had students that, haven't had to use the computer quite so much in their current job, but are interested in, they want to be able to use the flexibility of online? What do you tell those students?
Yeah, I mean, we have students that come back to school in their 20s. Maybe they attended college for 1 year and dropped out, but we have students that come back in their 70s and want to complete their degree, and everywhere in between. Number of those students, especially when they were in college, never took an online course. And so we're trying to support those students because, if they're working, the online modality gives them the opportunity to continue working. Many of them have families that they support and such, but also go to school and upskill at the same time. So we have an orientation that really helps them to understand what kind of technology they need to be proficient in, how to learn how to navigate the systems and what they'll need to do in their courses. We have online tutoring provided for them. We have coaches that are there to answer their questions anywhere along the way. We also have success hubs for our online programs where they can build community and ask each other questions and support each other through the program and help each other out. So we really try and, provide that wraparound service to see them through to that finish line of graduation.
Great. So, as we think through also our, traditional college student, we know that current high school students are graduating into a very, difficult job market. So I've heard that the FAFSA completion rates are down significantly. And that's let's see if I can get the acronym right. It's the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. I don't know, University Partners, did I get it? And as we, think through the value of a college education, could each of you, talk about why you would recommend that, a high school student consider upskill, getting a college degree, whether it's a 2-year or a 4-year degree? What's the value there? Is there still a value even in this dismal job market? Dr. Sorensen, I'll start with you.
Anna, that's a great point, because we know from the research and from the data that students are anxious, their families are anxious, and many students are considering a gap year, what's called a gap year, and that's taking a year off after high school graduation before leaping into higher education. I would urge students who might be listening, their families that might be listening, to encourage your son or daughter or someone else in your family to get started now. There's really, I don't think that it will behoove anyone's interest to not go ahead and get started. I understand the concern. They're kind of trying to wonder, what jobs will there be for me? But there are going to be jobs. I agree with Jermaine and Claire that we are going to get through this. We're going to be stronger than ever. There is a value in getting started, because the longer one waits, it would just put you that much longer out of the job market when those jobs become available as well. So there's lots of federal support now for students. That's also another reason to get started, with the stimulus bills happening at the federal level, the resources that are coming to the state of Louisiana. That's another reason that I would urge families or students not to wait to go ahead and get started. They're going to find a very supportive and caring atmosphere. They're going to people that are invested in their success and their completion. So I don't believe that being afraid of what might be in the future will help families or individual students by waiting. I would really urge folks to go ahead and get started now, and we can help them plan their path as they come to us.
So Claire, talk a little bit about, from being the 4-year institution on the call here, what is the value of getting started, moving right into your bachelor's degree, from a freshman standpoint, a traditional college student? Is it time for a gap year, or, should students get started?
No, to echo Dr. Sorensen, I would encourage them all to get started now. There's no reason to wait. But if you've ever heard Dr. Henderson with the UL system talk about the Compete Louisiana program, if we look at past economic downturns, after that, the majority of jobs went to those with bachelor's degrees. And so we really want to try and help, whether you're a first-time freshman coming out of high school, or whether you're an adult with some college and no degree returning back to school. We want to help all of those students to complete their 4-year degree.
Jermaine, for our traditional high school students, considering the next step, SLCC has quite a few short-term credential programs, and talk a little bit about the value of those rapid training programs for our traditional high school students. Can you give us a little bit more information about why that would be a good option for some of them?
Absolutely. In the words of Dr. Martin Luther King, now is the time. One thing our Chancellor, Dr. Natalie Harder, has done with our team here is, it doesn't matter if you're coming to us for a high set. It doesn't matter if you're coming to us for a short-term industry-based credential. It doesn't matter if you're coming to us for the college degree. You are a college student. And we're translating that message no matter which pathway they're coming through. You are a college student, and we're going to work with you, whether it's the HiSET, whether it's the short-term credential, or whether it's the associate's degree to be able to then transfer. We're going to work with you because you are a college student and you're a part of our family. Like many of our audience, I was the first one in my family to go to college. I knew what that felt like, not having all the answers, making a lot of missteps. And one of the things that I realized is that for me to have a brighter future, I needed an education. I needed to develop skill sets. I needed to develop a network. I still have connections to professors that I had 20 years ago. And so I just want to just echo the words of our chancellor. Whether you come through the doors of the HiSET to a short-term program or to a degree program, or whether you come in the doors of a short-term program in the workforce, or come in the doors of a short-term program to our degree path, or you come just to get college credit to then be able to transfer to our partner of ULL and others. You are a college student, and now is the time. Do not delay. Now is the time to close that skill gap, because employers, and I'm going to say this, we had a conference call with an employer the other day, and they were saying how they're actually shifting in the area of technology and the competencies that are going to be needed. So going from more skilled to more technological. So you're going to be able to need to understand how apps are to be developed and all type of software applications. So now is the time to come back to school, whether it's an online modality or face-to-face, whether it is you are a part-time student or a full-time student, don't delay. You got to come back.
Well, thanks. That's some great advice. I'm going to pass it back to Andre with questions for our panelists from the crowd.
Thank you, Anna. And we have about 10 minutes left for audience Q&A. So if you do have questions for our panelists, please send them in now. We did get one question with a technical issue on the acadianaopportunity.com site, and I volunteered your contact information, Anna. If anyone's having trouble, if you're trying to submit a form through acadianaopportunity.com or having other issues or just have feedback in general, we want to know that. So please do contact us. Anna is probably the best contact for you, and her email address is anna@oneacadiana.org. One other question that I wanted to go back to Jermaine on as well. Jermaine, in your introduction, you talked a little bit about the virtual job fair coming up. I know there are a couple that are planned. Could you say a little bit more about that?
Sure. And let me give acknowledgement to a phenomenal team. Dr. Shanae Nelson, who's leading that area, has done a tremendous job. I have such an amazing team. I'm honored to serve them as a leader. And what Dr. Nelson did in partnership with our Workforce Development Area 40 board, who actually, our board purchased the software tool called Brazen. It's a virtual tool. And so we're using this tool to be able to do virtual job fairs and community engagement. And proud to say, again, this week is our second virtual. I don't have the stats yet in terms of what the numbers look like, but as far as our past, and I know I mentioned it earlier, but the initial interest when we launched that was 596, with the number of people that actually registered 410, to the number of people that actually attended that day, which was 282, which was about an attendance rate of about 69%. And we are so excited to be able to say we had 69% for a virtual tool that we're just now utilizing. And we intend to utilize this moving forward throughout all our community engagement, as well as additional job fairs, helping those employers to be able to pathway and transition their workforce as fast as possible. But not only that, really discerning and seeing where the skill gaps are, so that we can work to create some type of short-term program that we can then retool that individual. So we're very excited about the job fair tool. We really are trying to do some things that are cutting edge, and you'll hear a lot more in the near future about job fairs that we're doing. So there is one tomorrow. I'm sorry, tomorrow's Wednesday. When we've been in quarantine, my days are I'm totally mixing up. Yes, it is tomorrow. It's tomorrow on the 20th. There's a customer service job fair But I'm very proud to say, I mean, we had people, in fact, I have a list here from last week: Proficient, Compass Health, Hub Enterprises, Innovative Communications, and a laundry list more. So if you go to our site, or if you contact us or contact Anna, we'll make sure to get you that information.
Thank you, Jermaine. And y'all must have done such a good job covering everything, because we don't have a flood of questions coming in right now. But we do have a little time if y'all would want to give maybe a closing thought, if there's something that you didn't get to mention that you wanted to mention, and then I'll wrap up with a couple announcements. Maybe we could start with Dr. Sorensen again. We'll go alphabetical order by institution again.
Well, I just want to close with this. It's an honor to be here today with One Acadiana and our other partners in the area, SLCC and ULL. I believe that we all have the same focus, and that is student success, trying to serve our employers, and getting our citizens working again. Currently in Louisiana, we have about a 25% unemployment rate, and we know that that is deeply impacting our communities. And I am just honored to be a part of this area, and honored to be a part of a wonderful group of colleagues throughout this area that are focused on assisting our communities and assisting our citizens to get back up and running again. We would love to hear from those in the audience. We'll be happy to connect with you. And with that, I'll turn it over to my other colleagues.
Jermaine, you're next up.
Sure. Well, thank you so much, Andre and Anna and Dr. Sorensen, Dr. Claire. Been a great time. I just want to say, whether you need help with resume writing or cover letter writing, give us a call. Whether you need help with getting into a short-term program, give us a call. I also would be remiss if I did not say and acknowledge our Chancellor, Dr. Natalie Harder, who has done such a phenomenal job here at South Louisiana Community College. We're very excited for her and the new journey that she's about to embark on. But I just want to let the Acadiana region know SLCC is strong, and we're going in the right direction, strong direction, and we're here to serve you. And so if you need us for anything, let us know, because I know what it's like to be a returning student as an adult going back to school, and I know what it's like being a first-time student. I know how scary it can be. But we want to actually take and remove all those barriers and hold your hand through the process. Thank you, Andre, and thank you, Anna.
All right, Claire, any closing thoughts?
Just to echo what the other panelists have said, we're all here to help the citizens of this region in their future, and I think that Acadiana is such a special place that our three institutions have worked so tightly on the One Acadiana 55 by 25 initiative. We've been working on trying to provide opportunities, and I think we'll continue to do that in the future. We had such a great foundation coming into this of partnership. It's just so exciting to be partnered with the other institutions in this region. We're all here to help the students.
I think that's a great way to close. And it's probably not too many regions where you'll find all of the public higher ed institutions working together so well. So we appreciate our partnership with y'all, and we thank you for being with us today. Quick housekeeping announcement. I did get a message from Dr. Shanae Nelson at Acadiana Workforce Solutions about the virtual job fair tomorrow. So posted a link to register for that in our chat bot for anyone interested. And we'll send that information, we'll send the slide deck, we'll send a video recording of this webinar out to all of our participants, so you have all those materials as resources. And of course, we'll send the link once again to our acadianaopportunity.com website. We want to thank again Dr. Nancy Sorensen, Jermaine Ford, Dr. Claire Araby, and Anna Osland for moderating our panel presenting on our webinar today. And I think a lot of people will benefit from this discussion, and hopefully take your advice on a few things. And we will be continuing to our Acadiana Business Resource webinar series going forward. So stay tuned for more information about that and follow-up emails from us and our partners. That will conclude today's webinar. Thank you all again, and please do stay safe.